Welcome to Big Little Stories. I'm Ivy Sharmetz. My guest today is a television executive, entrepreneur, and storyteller who has spent more than 2 decades helping bring stories to life on networks like Discovery, TLC, A&E, Lifetime, the list goes on. But after years of producing other people's stories, she decided it was time to create something of her own. Today, Julia Carias-Linares is the founding partner and CEO of Freedom Studios and the co-host of the new bilingual lifestyle series, Fix Mi Casa, a show that blends design, culture, and family through a uniquely Latino lens. Julia, I am so glad you are here. I'm going to start right out of the gate and fangirl a little bit for a minute because you and I have known each other for some time. We work together on some projects. When I think of women who are inspiring, women who use their power and position to help elevate other voices, amplify stories that don't often get heard, I always think of you. So thank you for being that person. First of all, as a woman, it means a lot. But just as a storyteller, I just admire your work so much.
Oh my God, thank you so much, Ivy. And I want to thank you for having me on your platform. And you have also been someone who opened doors and creates spaces for women like myself. So thank you so much for having me. And I am flattered that you feel that way about me because I am a fan of yours and I feel equally the same way.
Well, we're going to have a great conversation then,
Yes,
that means a lot to me coming from you. But you do have a very long career, a very successful career in a tough industry. So, what was it about television that first attracted you to want to be a part of it? It's not easy. You really have to love it, I think, to stay with it because it will eat you alive if you let it.
100%. And I think at the end of the day, it's about storytelling and being an immigrant in this country, having come in the mid 80s and not understanding the language, not understanding the culture, and having to assimilate to all that. And we ended up coming to Miami first
Mm.
and then New York City. And it was just a complete contrast from where I grew up. The climate was different. And so for me, I think it was always trying to honor my parents and the sacrifice that they've made from being professional individuals back in Honduras, because that's where I'm from, to having to sacrifice and have to take, jobs like cleaning banks and
Mm.
cleaning offices and cleaning homes where she was a principal in Honduras. So
Yeah.
I think is also taking control of our narrative, especially, during a time where now, right, where we're seeing a lot of misinformation. I think it was important for me to continue to be a responsible storytelling. And also for me, storytelling was a way to escape
Yeah. Yes.
reality,
Yep.
right? So
Yep.
it was a way to sort of go to different places and be different characters. So when I first started in this industry, or at least trying to break into the industry, because I had no one,
Mm.
I knew no one in this industry. Um, it was really about escaping my reality
Yeah.
and and then slowly and surely, as you learn the business more, you realize that one is not easy at all. I'm telling you, my mom didn't want me to be in this industry because also there was this misconception or conception that this is a dangerous zone,
Yeah.
and also you, as immigrants, we come to this country and we want a better life, and this is such an industry that is so, I wouldn't say unstable, but there's no direct path. So if you want to be a teacher, you know what you have to do. If you
Yeah.
want to be a nurse, you kind of know what you have to do. In this industry, even when you go to school for communications, which is what
Hmm.
the degree that I have in, you don't always end up reaching your destination, or at least where you want to go, because it's an industry that there's so much talent and very few positions or opportunities.
And longevity is not guaranteed because you could even have a very successful 5-year run and then what, right? So the fact that you were able to do that, but was there a time when you realized and said to yourself, wow, I'm doing this. I am creating content that millions of people all over the world are enjoying. What was that moment, and what did that feel like? And did your parents get to share in that celebration with you?
Yeah, I think, the first time that I realized that this could be really big was the time that I auditioned for the Selena movie and got pretty close. And I think that that's when my mom first realized that there could be a career in
Mm,
something like this. But then, fast forward, I just like many in this industry, we sort of try out different things. Often we are freelancers,
sure.
and I was doing casting, real people casting. I was doing commercials. I did production, and so I think that I knew that I was impacting while I was at A&E, where I realized that I had the opportunity to be part of the core team that
Mm,
launched FYI. And at first, I didn't want to do reality television. And I would never forget the president at the time of Lifetime. All the brands were presenting their slate. And I was questioning whether I wanted to be there or not. And he said, reality is not going anywhere. Reality is the engine that keeps the oil, the oil that keeps the engine going.
yeah. Wow.
That's when a little light bulb went on. And I said, well, I'm supposed to be here and learn this. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. And I
Yeah.
think that being someone that didn't speak English, that didn't, and coming from a family of educators, learning was always a big thing in my family. So I said, you know what? I'm supposed to be here. And it was a fascinating time because we had launched a network within a network. It was a smaller brand, which allowed me to work multiple and wear multiple hats. There was an opportunity to learn the front of the creative and the business aspect of it. And we were, we were touching 80 million people with the
Wow.
content that we were producing and overseeing multiple shows. So I learned a lot, and lifestyle, right? Lifestyle. I remember watching, all these renovation shows and design shows on HGTV and all the different channels, and I just remember being hooked. So doing this type of reality for me was fun, and it allowed me to kind of see things in a way that there's always you always need the drama, but the
Sure.
drama doesn't have to be salacious.
Right.
It could be just drama from a design or cooking or relationships, where it comes from the situation, the environment,
Yeah.
trying to reach deadlines,
Yeah.
and the time is ticking. You got to get that done. And in renovations, like, okay, is the furniture there? Did we put the window in the wrong spot? That kind of drama.
So everyday life is dramatic enough, right? We don't need the additional stuff. Some of the titles, though, that you were responsible for bringing to people: Married Life, 7 Year Switch, Tiny House Nation. So I want to jump ahead a little bit here. So you have this amazing career, and then you decide you want to do something on your own. How did Freedom Studios come about?
You know, I have to go back a little bit,
Hmm.
because when I decided that I was going to leave A&E, things were changing. And as we know in this industry, especially in the network side, it is forever changing, and things are shifting constantly. Had started a staging and design business prior to leaving A&E. It was kind of like a side hustle, and I was getting busy. And so I had decided that I was going to pursue that. And my husband couldn't believe it. He was not totally on board of me leaving my corporate job. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do this. And the way it happened, and I need to give you this little backstory in order to get to how
Yes,
I left
I
Freedom
love that.
Studios.
I love this story. I'm here for it.
Yeah. So we're debating, and I asked God for a sign, and I
Mhm.
said, God, if you really want me to do this, just show me. And we have to have faith, and we have to let God guide us.
Yeah.
And I remember that was on a Tuesday. On a Sunday, I get a call from the realtor that I was working with, because we have been staging homes and working with real estate professionals to prepare these homes and properties to go on the market. And she said, Are you sitting down? Are you sitting down? And I said, Yes. She said, At your work, the apartment that we have been working on was just part of the feature photo of the article on the New York Times.
Wow.
And at that moment, I realized that this was the sign that I had asked for.
Yeah.
And if the New York Times is not a sign,
Then what is, right? What is?
exactly. Soon after that, we started working on, well, we have been working, but really full force. And then I said to myself, well, how am I going to promote this company? And so I had an opportunity to develop another project, and it was around women in real estate.
I love
And
it.
one of the things that I learned being at A&E is, what are we not seeing out there? What can cut through the clutter?
Yeah.
What and I wasn't seeing enough women, and there aren't enough women.
Right.
I
Right.
always feel that we are either the co-host, the romantic uh, person, like the romantic partner, and I wasn't seeing enough women in real estate. So we put together, I called a few friends who are producers, seasoned producers, and I said, ladies, what do you think? They loved it. We did a sizzle. And then, always thinking ahead, I said to my partners, I said, why don't we form a company that, in case this project doesn't get bought, we can self-distribute.
Yeah.
And I remember doing a meeting with the producers and partners, and we're like, all right, what do we want to do? And we're like, well, we want freedom to work with whoever we want to work with. And then we were going around the room, and then, what else? Freedom. We want financial freedom, and freedom just kept coming up. And we said, well, what if we called our company Freedom? Freedom Studios, Freedom Production. And we looked at different names, and Freedom Studios was available, and we
Wow.
just could not believe it. I'm like, how can this be? And again, it was out of the need to take matters into our own
Right.
hands, and creating the table or the chair that wasn't there for us.
The one detail that you missed about that story is that the name of that show that you created was Big Deals in Fancy Heels,
Yeah.
which, I mean, that is amazing. We are going to take a very quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about your new exciting project that I am so excited for and so happy for you about. So we'll take a very quick break. More with Julia when we come back. So, Julia, you create Freedom Studios, and you take on project. How would you describe a the characteristics of a good project for Freedom Studios?
I think it has to follow our mission and values. And it's, for us, we need to be responsible storytellers. And so it also needs to have some sort of social cause or
Mm,
awareness. So for us, is really important. And also projects that are highlighting our community, highlighting women, positioning women in positions, authentic positions,
mm,
I think often, as a Latina, and this is a conversation that's been going on for decades, is the lack of representation, although we
sure.
are kind of seeing a little bit more, but not enough. And often these representations are not authentic. And so part of it is, it has to be, and when we work with outside talent producers, there has to be a passion behind the
Sure.
project that we take on.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of the projects. You have Dear America, a letter from Black women, which I know well. You have a
Yes.
beautiful documentary about children in Latin America. What kind of response do you get from audiences with these types of stories? What's the feedback that you get?
Well, people often tell me that these type of stories are needed.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
need to, part of my mission is to create a platform for those unheard voices. And often, some sort of personal connection to it. So the Niños de Cristo, which is the documentary around about the abandoned children in Latin America, we visited during the pandemic Niños y Niñas de Cristo's orphanage in Dominican Republic, and my business partner, Meili Macias Toro, had been going down there for years, almost more than a decade, with her husband Rafael. And I was exposed to these children, and we know that, right? Having come from Honduras, we see
sure,
homeless
sure.
and abandoned children that are in the streets for different reasons, right? And just to see the impact that is happening in some of these functional organizations and
Mm,
foundations, we thought it was really important to tell this story. And and also the director and writer and producer Kiki Melendez, she also wanted to tell the story when she went during the pandemic as well. She adopted a child, and it
mm,
was a traumatic experience for
yeah.
her for so many reasons that you will have to watch the film to
See,
see.
see, the good storyteller knows how to plug. I want to talk about Fix Mi Casa because
Yes.
you talked about representation, um, and I got these statistics from you, but I was so fascinated by them. You've said visibility shapes value. Oh, I love that. Visibility shapes value. Latinos represent 1 in 5 Americans, but they are not really represented in unscripted television. 3.5% of streaming hosts,
Mhm.
4.2% of broadcasts, less than 5% on cable. Um, so, so talk to me about Fix Mi Casa. It's a show that you're doing with your husband.
Right.
It's a show about, it's a lifestyle show, but there is also this important cultural identity that's attached to it as well.
100%. I think that when we don't see ourselves represented, or when we do see ourselves represented, it tells people that their story matters.
Yes.
It tells
Yes.
people that we are valuable, and Latinos have been, contributing and are an important part of the fabric of this country. That I wanted to highlight, um, this part of it, right? And also let people know that design is attainable. Design is attainable, and you don't have to spend a lot of money. You can just be creative. And we're hoping that with this show, we show that and we let people know that we are valuable, that we bring a lot to the table, and we've been contributors in so many, all over the world, right?
Yeah.
And that we are excited to show you and share ways to get that done in your
Yeah.
home.
Yeah. And so I mentioned you're doing this show with your husband, Alfredo.
Yes.
I think you two have such a beautiful love story. You have a wonderful, loving relationship. What was it like, though, when you decided to go on camera together, and now you are his wife, but also, his producer and his
Right.
co-host? And what is that like?
It's been really interesting because, as you know, we've had JCL staging and design, and there's been moments where he has opinions, I have
Sure.
opinions, and our roles, right? I am often the front face of the front of the house is what they call
Yeah.
in the
Yeah. Yeah.
food industry, and he tends to be the one that helps me execute and does the installation and makes sure that things get done. So there has been times that we don't agree,
Sure.
but we remind ourselves that we got to go home together.
No matter what happens,
Right,
the day
right.
only ends the same way. Right. Right.
100%. But also, as time has gone by, I think it's also really understanding that we all can learn and we can
Yeah.
all evolve, and that we have our roles. But if he wants to chime in and, you know, give his opinion about a design. I have to be open because I know that he's a smart, talented man,
Sure.
and he very supportive. So he's it's interesting because I know that that's a question that is asked during one of the episodes, and he thinks about it, and he's like, you know what, it's actually a pleasure, and I'm like, okay.
Well, he knows where he's sleeping that night, right? So he's got to he knows how to
But
answer a question.
But I have to say, him and I, we've known each other for 30
Yeah,
years. We were very young before we even started dating. We've been together for 22 years, 20 years. Oh my God, 21 years. And we've been married 12 years. And so, we were friends before we
sure.
were even
Yeah,
together.
yeah,
So there's a level of respect and love and consideration that I think, being together for so long, and I just trust him. And I always get excited when he tries different things because he's tends to be in a safe place.
sure.
So I get excited, yeah. And he knows that things got to get done.
You one of the things that I think is so fascinating about this too is we talk about how your home reflects your identity. Your home is part of the story that you tell about yourself. So design really is another form of storytelling. What
Yeah.
do you want viewers to take out of what's their takeaway from watching you and your husband do this work?
I want people to not be afraid to work on their space. I feel that, you know, at least for me, when my space is organized and looks beautiful, and beautiful doesn't have to be expensive,
Right.
right? Beautiful has to be what you like. What are some of your favorite colors? What are some of your least favorite
Yeah.
colors? I want them to know that they too can have a beautiful place.
Yeah.
And when you are in a state of gratitude because your space feels great, you're more productive,
Yes.
you're more you can get a lot more done. You can get more focused on
Yeah.
doing what you need to do.
Yeah, it's like you
And so
breathe easier too, right? You it's easier to breathe and actually just exist in the space.
I hope they get inspired.
You do. You do. Julia, you are such an inspiring woman. I started the interview this way. I'm ending the conversation this way. You are such an inspiring woman. Everything I'm a fan of everything that you do forever. And you're just such a kind and lovely person. Where can people watch Fix Mi Casa?
Fix Mi Casa is being aired on Latino Circuit TV, and you can find them through Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire TV,
And
and I'm sorry, and LatinoCircuitTV.com.
okay. And if people want more information about Freedom Studios and your work there, how do they find that?
FreedomStudiosInc.com.
Julia, we end each one of these conversations with something we call three big little questions. We do them rapid fire. Are you ready?
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
How do you get yourself out of a bad mood?
I meditate.
Okay. What is your go-to karaoke song?
I will survive.
Oh, you can sing "I Will Survive."
It's karaoke,
I know. All right, we're doing that. I'm putting that on our list of things to do next time after brunch. And what is one of your favorite spots in New Jersey?
I've been going a lot to Fort Lee,
Yes.
so I've been enjoying that area of New
Yeah.
Jersey. But I do love, going to the beach. When I go to the beach, I don't go to the beach in New York. I go to the beach in New Jersey, so the Jersey Shore.
Well, yeah, because the beach in New Jersey is better than the beach in New York. I'm just going to say it. So yeah, okay. And this summer you're coming to the beach with me. We're coming to the beach with me as my guest.
Absolutely.
Julia, thank you so much for everything that you do. I so appreciate you taking the time to talk to me, and I know I will talk to you very soon, my friend.
Yes. Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you. Thank you. Of course, that will do it for today's Big Little Stories. Be sure to check us out on Instagram at Big Little Stories Show. I'm Ivy Sharmetz. I'll see you next time.